Question: was Jesus' racial ethnic identity Palestinian in that particular lifetime? I am not sure if there has been clarity on this subject yet. I've heard claims on both sides of the issue, Hebrew and Palestinian. Has Jesus ever commented on this? Well, no, the Masters haven't really commented on this. But the reason for this is that the question is actually, it can't really be answered with a yes or no, because you have to understand that the question is asked looking back with the mindset we have today. We are in a specific mindset today that is different from the mindset people had 2,000 years ago. And we are looking back at that time and asking a question based on our mindset. And that's why it can't really be answered with a yes or no. Because people at that time, they didn't have the distinctions between Palestinian and Israeli, or Palestinians and Jews. They were much more thinking in terms of tribes and family lineage. You can see how to the Gospel writers it was very important that Jesus was of the lineage of David, because it was prophesied that the Messiah should be of that lineage. So they were not thinking, oh, these people are Palestinians and these are Jews. They were talking about which lineage are you from, which of the 12 tribes of Israel are you from. And so the question gave no meaning 2,000 years ago. If you had asked somebody back then, they would have looked at you with a blank stare. And so what has happened since then is a couple of things. First of all, we have developed the scientific mindset, the rational, logical thinking, which is actually based on Aristotelian logic, which is it's a binary logic. A statement has to be true or false. There's nothing in between. And then comes science, which has taken that logic to an extreme, where everything has to be either or. It's binary. Yes or no, true or false, Palestinian or not Palestinian. And then, of course, what has developed also is that the Jewish mentality over the past 2,000 years has developed in various ways so that they see themselves more in opposition to other people. And that's why they gradually developed a distinction between Palestinians and Jews. And then after the creation of the State of Israel, this was sharpened even more, because there were some of the people who moved back to Israel felt that they were the Jews and the Palestinians were just the people who lived there before. But if you go far enough back, they all came from the same origin. I mean, you go far enough back and there's no distinction between Palestinian and Jews. They just came from the same ethnic, racial background. And so what I'm saying is that to Jesus today, the question would be meaningless. I mean, what does it matter? Seriously, what does it matter? You could say even both Palestinians and Jews reject Jesus anyway, so what does it matter? And I don't think, as I said, there is a meaningful answer to the question. There are sometimes we have to simply question the question and say, what is the background for the question? Why are we asking this question? What's the mindset? And is there something amiss with that mindset? Is it illogical? Is it, as I said, a modern mindset that's looking back and then wanting to put Jesus into some kind of ethnic racial identity? The other thing you could ask yourself is, why do you want to do that? Because Jesus, if it has any meaning to his mission, was that he came to show us that we can transcend all of the divisions found on earth through the Christ consciousness. As I've said in many of my videos, Jesus was meant to be an example that we can all follow a path where we raise our consciousness and come into oneness with the Christ mind, the one mind. And when we do that, we transcend all of these outer. Race, ethnicity, sex, religion, political affiliation, national affiliation, all of this fades away in the Christ consciousness. The high shall be made low, and the low shall be made high, and all of this. It all falls away because it's insignificant compared to the fact that we all came from the same source, which is what Jesus came to show us. We all came from the same source. We are all sons and daughters of God. And so if you really understand that, it doesn't matter where Jesus came from. What matters is, and it doesn't matter where we came from, what matters is, what are we willing to transcend? Where are we willing to go? Because what is it that we have to do to follow Jesus? We have to let our worldly sense of identity die, whatever that identity is. That's what Jesus said when a young man asked him, I'd like to follow you, but my father just died, can I go bury him? And Jesus said, let the dead bury their dead. Because all of these outer distinctions, it's an expression of the death consciousness. And you have to be willing to lose that life to join with Christ in the eternal life.